Sinead, I am so excited for myself and for the people listening, for this interview, for this chat, for this kitchen table conversation that we're going to have about money and frequency and energetics. And yeah, so thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me on. And I feel like we're just catching up, right? We're both sat at the kitchen table. I've got a glass of water. I'm just like, okay, it's been a while. It's been a hot minute. What's the latest?
Yeah, I'd love for you to share, since we're sort of newer getting to know each other. I'd love to for you to share, how is it that you came into working with money? How is it that, what is your story of like coming into supporting other people in their relationship with money?
Where to start?
Yeah.
So one of the things I actually really feel guided to say is that I think that we're actually born into relationship with money, right?
Mhm.
It's just something. Money, as they say, makes the world go round, but it doesn't. It's energy. So we're all born with some form of relationship with energy. We are energy. And I think for me, I have been on quite a journey with my relationship with money and with myself, because
Yeah.
everything's connected.
Yeah.
And I think it's only really quite recently, over the last couple of years, that I've recognized that actually this relationship that I have with money has actually been following me around like a rabid dog since I was a child.
Wow.
I know. And so I feel like I'm a bit of a late bloomer, and I'm the kind of person that has to really experience something to understand it, to
Yes.
integrate it, to
Yes.
embody it, before I can teach, before I can speak into something, anything really.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of the things that I guess my soul agreed to when I came here. And so my journey with money really started when I was about 4 years old, when I used to go on buses with my mum, because my dad used to always take the car, and we used to just go on the buses. And apparently, I don't remember any of this, but my mum used to told me that I used to speak and talk to people and sing to people on the bus and get paid. They just give me money. So I think that's when it all first started. And I think it just like progressed from there. I think I had various careers working where I would have to really learn more about money, more about how the government works with money. And I don't want to say the word lost, but to make it relatable, I feel like I've lost a lot of money. But I think that it was just my way of learning what it felt like to feel like I've lost a lot of money, or to release that amount of money, or, that kind of thing. So as I said, it's like my journey with money has been very experiential, and I don't know everything. I do know a lot of things, but I don't know everything. And I'm still learning, and I'm never going to admit to knowing everything. And I love, like, everything that you do still really, really fascinates me. And I know that there's always going to be more to learn. But I think my journey with money has been more related to how to see it as an energy rather than anything else. I was very much tied into fear, survival, safety, and how that's related with money as well. Very kind of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, very intrinsically connected into that. And I think that my journey has really helped me to emancipate myself from that, and to almost like see money as an extension of me, but also a reflection of me, and also a guide, a friend, um, and just, yeah, I feel that I've become a shepherd of it. And I don't necessarily feel that I've learned, as I said, I haven't learned everything, and I'm always going to still be learning.
Yeah, no, I really like that. I'm interested in money. Well, first let me back up. I want to say that I also feel a resonance to the money as, or the journey as being experiential. Like I
Mm,
can't teach anything that I haven't experienced or embodied, right? Like, so I relate to that. And my journey has also been about the energetics of money, right?
Mm.
And really understanding how money wants to move, how money wants to flow. And I'm interested in, I like what you said about just being born with a relationship to energy.
Mm.
Can you say a little bit more about that? Because I feel like people need to hear more about that.
It's interesting because actually that's the first time I've ever expressed anything like that. So this feels like, I mean, it feels like it's new information as I'm speaking into it, but obviously there's a resonance there. Otherwise I wouldn't have said it. So it's, I think when we look at the world through the lens of everything is energy, and when we're born, we don't have to do anything, by the way, but for me personally, it's like, let's look at our relationship with energy from the moment we're born, because that will then dictate everything that we kind of experience in our lives on our journey. And it's one of my beliefs that the concept of money is that it's very much related to source energy. It's related to universal energy. And I think that when we come into the world, when we're born, it's almost like we become separated from that essence of ourselves. And
Yes.
so it's almost like we go on this journey of remembrance. And within that, we get invited to perhaps look at our relationship with money, because ultimately that's really, it's almost like looking at yourself in the mirror for the very, very first time, not necessarily recognizing what you see, but feeling the resonance between you and what you see.
Yes.
That's how I see our relationship with money. And I think that if more people understood that we're one in the same, then it might actually allow us to be a little bit more compassionate. But I think also compassion is learned, it's remembered, and it's also learned. So there's lots here. I'm intuitively being guided as to what to share, as I'm sure you're very aware. But it does feel that this is something that not a lot of people actually really explore.
Yeah, what I hear you saying is that you are not separate from the energy of money.
Yeah,
Right. And I think that
100%.
people see money as being outside of themselves, and that's something that they have to get,
Yeah,
something that have to do something with,
yeah,
right? And it's just like, no, that's not what we're doing here. It
yeah,
really is an extension of your life force, right? Like you are just, that is
yeah,
the whole frequency. That is like doing the inner work and amplifying your frequency is amplifying money in your life.
yes.
Yeah.
And that's why the body is the portal, right?
Yeah. How do you work with the body? What is your way?
I speak to my body a lot. I listen to her. I'm very intuitively guided. So a lot of like the intuitive nudges and things that I feel, like how I make decisions, are body based. Sometimes I get the intuitive like download or whatever, but actually without the body, I wouldn't be able to receive that frequency or understand it or know how to decipher it or anything like that. And I think that that's where we make decisions. So it's taken me a very, very long time to get to this point, to be really in the body, to be comfortable in the body, to listen to the body, because the body has experienced so much in and of itself. And also it's like when we look at money as well, it's like our relationship with our bodies is a reflection of our relationship with money, is a reflection of our relationship with us receiving love. How do we receive love? How does it feel to allow ourselves to receive love? What did that look like?
Yeah.
It's all connected. And I think that, and again, it goes back to the energetics as well. And going back to when we come into the world, when we're born, we have to realize that everything is energy, because we're literally like this life force, as you said, that's
Yes.
been almost like injected into a human body, which is an energetic entity in and of itself. And it's just like, oh my God, we have to learn all of this stuff. And I think for me personally, the journey that I've been on with money, if I'd have known years ago, right, that there was a fast path to doing the inner work, and that is money, your relationship with money, I would have hopped on that. I would have hopped on that bus straight away.
No kidding. No kidding. You're so right. Yes, the relationship with money has been like some of the most intense work that I've done, in addition to like intimate, like right next to intimacy work.
It's the same bloody thing, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah,
It
yeah,
really is.
yeah.
Because intimacy is allowing yourself to be with yourself, and
Yes.
then allowing other people to see into you, like
Yeah,
into
yeah.
you say that kind of, all of the cliche shite anyway. But it's the same thing, like, as if I allow myself to see into everything that I am, then I can allow something to see into to everything that I am.
To reach me, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's to come into those spaces where I also witness myself, see myself, meet myself.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
think that when it comes to money, and this is how it shows up in our relationship with money, is the same way that we avoid looking money in the eyes. So the same way that we avoid looking at our bank accounts, or looking at the numbers, or looking at whatever it is the same. It's going to show up in the same way with it, that we're avoiding parts of ourselves,
Yes.
avoiding looking at parts of ourselves. And that's why I said the quickest way to realize how you've been standing in your own way, how vulnerable, and like, I feel that there's a lot of shame, guilt, fear, and judgment tied into money, very much around the way that money has been almost like socially engineered to be portrayed in a certain light.
Yes.
And so we don't want to look at numbers, because numbers mean that I am XYZ.
Yes, exactly.
So
It
we're
means
like, no, we
something
don't want
about
to look
me.
at it. I don't want to, and it's the same thing. Like, I don't want to look at myself in the mirror, because that means that I'm a size XYZ. Numbers again. Or it's
Exactly.
all intrinsically connected. And
Yes.
it's what we're feeling when we're thinking about these different things. And those feelings are emotions, and emotions are energy. So it comes back to the energy again.
Yeah. I love what you said about numbers are socially engineered,
Yeah.
right? Whether it's numbers tied to your weight,
Mm-hmm.
or size, or how
Mm-hmm.
much you have in your bank account, or how little you have in your bank account, like that is powerful. Like that is important for people to realize, because in social engineering, for me, from my perspective, is a form of trauma. It is a form
Mm-hmm.
of like robbing us of our life force, robbing us
Mm-hmm.
of our power in some way. And so those numbers carry, the socially engineered numbers carry some form of trauma. And so we avoid the trauma, we avoid the pain of, right, like not being the desired number, not having the desired number in your bank account, whatever it happens to
Yeah.
be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the biggest lesson for me was realizing, and it's very much I don't want to say I've struggled with my weight, because that would imply that the way that my body has been supporting me has been wrong, that it's been a problem to fix. And up until a certain point, that's exactly what I believed. However, with what we're told, what we're conditioned to believe, all about self-worth, body image, and everything else, the thing that I was struggling, air quotes, with, was saying, I really, really want to lose weight, and I really, really want to make a shit ton of money. And yet I found myself in Groundhog Day, whereby I would say, I really, really want to lose weight, but I'm going to go out and spend a shit ton of money on food, waste all the food that I've already bought in the fridge, and then complain that I don't have any money. It's just like this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
But this is how we kind of, the whole energy thing as well, is like, we leak money energetically. We have to plug the leaks.
Where do you,
So
okay, go ahead.
go
Sorry.
on, no, go.
Where do you see people leaking the most?
I think it's saying one thing and doing another.
Mm.
Like, for example, and I did this so much. I don't have any money tonight. I can't go out with you. the next day I'll be in the coffee shop lapping it up with all the lattes. Like, that's an energy leak for me. Saying one thing and doing another. It's not necessarily appreciating what you have, or at least saying, I have money, but actually I'm deciding not to XYZ.
Right. It
So
feels
you're
like an
almost like,
integrity issue, like
it's
a
an integrity
congruence.
issue, it's a respect issue, I don't, it's not necessarily that you're ungrateful, it's just like,
It's not the whole truth.
it's not the whole truth. Let's not always make money an excuse. And that's what has happened for years, making money the excuse why we can't do something. And actually, we're giving our power away. And we're infusing the energy of money, because the energy of money is neutral, right? But we're infusing it with
Like blame.
fear of blame. Yeah, exactly. Not speaking our truth, not having not feeling power, not necessarily powerful, but not confident enough to actually say, or brave enough to say, actually, I'd rather not do that.
Right. Right. To have it really be
So
a choice.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
see this showing up, and I've done this myself as well. I see this showing up in our relationship with our children as well. Like, okay, I can't come out tonight because I haven't got the money. No, I can't come out tonight because I've got, oh, my daughter's just done this and she's done that and blah blah blah. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
irates me. I've done it myself, right? I am not fucking perfect. And it still pisses me off when I catch myself doing it, because you don't just go, oh, I'm holier than thou, everything's learned. Like, this is a process, everything's a fucking process, but this is a process. And so it's just, when you have the awareness, you can catch yourself
Yeah.
and go, okay, that's not true, that's an illusion or whatever, and you kind of shift. And that's the whole, I think that's the whole point. But it's just, yeah, it's the way that we blame everything, blaming money, blaming food, blaming our children, blaming the weather, blaming whatever it is.
Yeah. When it's really like we don't want to. We don't want to do
Exactly.
something. We choose or we don't choose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the more that let's go back to money, the more that we blame money, we punish money, we disrespect money, the more it's not going to want to be around you. But it's
Yeah.
the same thing. It's like, I'm blaming myself. You're not blaming money, you're actually blaming yourself.
Yeah.
You're actually, it's, everything is a reflection, everything is a mirror.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm guessing that when people sit down with you, you really sort of hold that up for them.
Oh yeah, you guess 100%. Right.
You're just like, you can spot it and you're like, go right in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to just be the truth bomb that everybody hates to receive, but loves really.
Yeah, I mean, because you get people closer to their goals,
Yeah, that's the
and
whole point. There's no point in me sitting there fabricating, pretending something doesn't exist while you're dancing around, fanning around an issue, when
yeah,
that's why you're here, so you
yeah,
can get results.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the blaming and punishing money, yeah, I even had a conversation with my kids over the weekend where I had bought them cereal. I normally don't buy them cereal, and they were like, this would taste really good with cow's milk. And I was like, I don't want to buy cow's milk. And I was almost going to say like, oh, cow's milk is really expensive. And I was like, fuck that. That's not true. Like, any milk is expensive. It's not about the money. I just feel really grossed out by how cows are treated. I don't even want to have cheese in the house. And I'm certainly not going to buy fucking milk.
Mhm.
And I was just really clear with them. It's like, I don't want to spend my money on that. That doesn't make me feel good, spending money on that. And you're just going to have to get used to almond milk. And I know almond milk is not perfect. They use tons of water to make almond milk, but it just, I thinking about the cows makes me really sad. So, and they were like, okay. But it was a conversation where I could feel myself wanting to collapse my power into a tried and true, comfortable narrative. And I was like, no, it's really about like, I don't want to do that. I don't
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm.
Right.
And I think that's really beautiful, because I think that it's so easy to go to oh, I'm just going to say it's too expensive, because in our brains, I'm not saying everybody, but often we think, oh, well, they're only children, they're not going to understand the full explanation, so this is the easiest fucking quickest option. And it's bullshit. Actually, when we give them the long version and say these are the reasons why I'm feeling, and it's not about justifying your reasons, it's helping them to understand and giving them permission to make fucking decisions for themselves, where they don't have to say yes, no, that's too expensive, that's not expensive enough. Like they've got context.
Exactly.
They might not necessarily understand it all, but at least there's context there.
Right.
And this is the thing, sorry, Isha, I was just going to say the thing about, and this is what I grew up with in my family as well with money, is that money was always given as a reward for something. You do this chore and you get this money. And I think that's complete bullshit as well, because that's really teaching us we have to be good. It's the good girl conditioning. We have to adult when we're like 6 or 7 years old, and then we get rewarded with money. That's bullshit.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree totally with you. I was just reading in a book about how like that just basically trains you to be a good worker, right? To work for somebody else, to be a good worker, and then make your money, get your paycheck.
It's you have to earn. You don't have to earn anything. If you like, here's the money. And if you choose that you'd like to do some chores, do some chores. There's no blackmailing. It's manipulative, right?
Yes,
it really is. Obviously you agree with me, but I know a lot. Well, I don't know, but I should imagine that there's going to be people thinking, no, you're wrong, or I don't agree, or whatever. And I get it. And I was exactly that person as well. Like I was brought up that way. So to decondition that and to look at things through a different lens and actually go, do you know what? That's the whole point. It's tying into that social engineering again, whereby you have to earn your money, you have to earn your keep, you have to, money doesn't grow on trees, so you have to do XYZ before you get this lovely little reward. No, you're always provided for. It's energy. There's no conditions. It doesn't come with a bloody instruction pack. It just is. You're worthy regardless. You're deserving regardless.
I was going to say that is exactly sort of part of the unworthiness wound, right? We can't just receive it. We have to do something for it. Right.
And it's like, it's the same with love.
Yes, exactly. I have to give something in order to receive something. Yeah, absolutely. You aren't just inherently lovable, just standing there in the middle of the room, not doing a damn thing.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I have to earn my place in the world. And this is the conditioning that I believe that we come in, like we're literally born into. I have to earn my place in the world. I have to earn the money that I have or don't have. I have to, it's so dense. Even when you tune into the energetics of it all, it's so dense. And it's almost like when we go, if we choose to go through the initiation, because the relationship with money and exploring your relationship with money, I see it as an initiation back to self. And if we decide and choose, sometimes it just falls in your lap, and other times you actually really want to do it, and you're choosing to do that. So if you're choosing to do that, it's very much looking at all these different concepts, really understanding what is my money story, like what are the things. And it's never about the money. That's the whole bloody point.
Exactly.
The money is just the thing that's going to show you what is or isn't out of alignment. So if it's your relationship with your body, if it's your relationship with food, if it's your relationship with your father, if it's your relationship with your mother, if it's and really it's in my opinion it's your relationship with earth. Relationship with who you are as a human being, which is a human being in this physical body on planet earth. How can you belong? How can you feel like you belong here? How can you feel like you are loved again, just as you are here? Because there is so much intensity around us.
Yeah. And there's so many ways in which we interpret from our environment, sometimes correctly, that we are not fully loved and not fully seen and not fully received in all of our energy. right? We have to sort of like come in a certain way in order to be like digestible, palatable, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And yet we can look at a tree and just accept it as it is.
Yeah.
Without condition. And
Yeah.
I think that's the invitation, is to perhaps even, you know, connect more with nature and see how nature is loved unconditionally. Okay, sometimes it pisses it down with rain and people don't like it. Okay, but let's look at a tree. Like, a tree is just a tree. It's beautiful. It grows, it dies, it, you know, there's lots of cycles that happen. It twists, it changes shape. There's lots of history. It has roots all the way down into the ground, you know. And I think that if we can really look at our relationship with nature, look at our relationship with the trees, and try to then see, you know, that whole money doesn't grow on trees, right? There is such there is so many connections. Even the trees look like the lungs, you know, the branches and everything. It's like, how can we really just embrace all of this and flip it on its head and actually say, no, money does grow on trees. It's moving through me. It is me. Like, I can feel it in my body, and I accept that this is who I am. And I want more of it. How can I breathe more life into these lungs? How can I breathe? Because that's what it is. Money is life. Like you said, it's life force energy. How can I allow myself to receive more life, joy, peace? How can I allow myself to see more life, joy, and peace in everything that's around me?
Right. And just from a body perspective, like from my somatic training, you know, a lot of what we talked about is that we as humans, we do not breathe fully.
Yeah.
We do not breathe all the way through our bodies. And I certainly did not breathe into my abdomen. Anything below my belly button was like not happening. I was not grounded, you know. So a lot of my work was, for those first 2 years of my training, was like, am I breathing? Am I breathing into my pussy? Am I breathing into my feet? Am I breathing into my ass? Like, all of like just opening up more space in my body, more space, more space, more space.
Yeah.
Right? To feel, to receive, to like sensation, just sensation.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I think when we really get down to the brass, like the grassroots of everything and our relationship with money, it's what we're looking for is peace. We're looking to feel peace within. We're looking to feel peace with our relationship with money. We're looking to feel peace with our relationship with our body. We're looking to feel like a sensation of peace with our relationship with the past, with nature. I think that it's just, we just want peace, because peace is how we felt when we came into the world. And then it happened. Like, all the lessons, all of the noise. And I think that if we can at least invite more peace in, and I think a lot of peace comes from allowing more life in, breathing more life in, and allowing ourselves to receive more life, more love, more peace.
How do you support people in receiving more? Like, practically speaking, how do you take them through that process?
That's a really good question, because it depends on the person.
Yeah.
It really does. For me, sometimes it could be a few words, depending on who it is. Sometimes it could be a reflection. I have a background in, you know, training, trauma training and somatic stuff as well. So I know how to guide them through certain things, but I really love supporting people to find their own way. Like, even just inviting them to connect with, where does that feel good in your body, or what would it feel like for you to actually discover that for yourself? When was the last time that you went out into the world and felt peace? Because sometimes we have to, because we're so disconnected, a lot of us, sometimes we have to feel it in an environment before we can allow ourselves to feel it in the body.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the other way around. But I think that it really depends on who's sat in front of me and the kind of approach that they that I'm being guided to share with them what's going to land and get them the most, that like the quickest results. Not that it's an overnight thing, but a lot of the time it's about disentangling them from the values, the stories, the beliefs that they may have taken on. And it can happen energetically. So the way that I work energetically would be to almost like rid them of any of those things, any of those energetic anomalies, and like ancestral stuff as well, that they may be carrying on the body and in the body, and it feels like a burden. And once we kind of do the energetic work, they actually feel that sense of lightness and peace anyway.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
sometimes it's cognitive, sometimes it's somatic, sometimes it's, you know, energetic, and it's always all of it. Do you know what I mean? But it really depends on who's sat in front of me. But my go-to more than anything these days is just the energetic, because the way in which I work is very, very quick. So it kind of gets straight into the roots.
Yeah.
So connecting with the tree again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I love what you said about the trees and about just really like, there's nothing wrong about the tree. There's
No.
nothing ever wrong with the tree. But we often make ourselves wrong. We make money wrong. We make lots of things wrong. And thereby, you know, we sort of infuse it with shame when it doesn't really need to be there. Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that shame it isn't something that we ever chose. You know, we didn't wake up or get born and go, I'm today I'm going to be like, this is what I'm going to believe about myself. I'm bad, I'm wrong. I do something bad, I do something wrong, and that's who I am for the rest of my life. No, it's almost like we have to disentangle ourselves from the projections, from the cellular memories, from all of the things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be instantaneous. I'm very, very much a believer in the power of decision.
Mm-hmm.
And the potency of decision.
Yeah.
When you're like, every single fiber of your being is on board with the decision that you're making, then sometimes it can feel effortless. Not always, but sometimes it can. And then, but you have to be kind of ready. So there has to be, I don't necessarily feel like there has to be, but it could be that there's still more lessons to learn. And sometimes there aren't any more lessons to learn, or you get to say, actually, I don't want any more lessons to learn, because I think that we give our power away, even with the things that we kind of try to navigate as well in our lives.
Yeah.
And we pay a lot of lip service to some of the things that we can just go, I'm fucking done with this shit now. It's done.
Right. No, and I like that you're bringing in the decision, because I often feel like I've conceptualized this decision making as an important part of manifestation. And because it gets you out of victimhood.
Yes.
When you're in your victim, things are happening to you, you're blaming external circumstances or things, and some of those may be true, right? You may be in a shit situation, but you still have the power to decide things even in the shit, right?
Yes, you do.
And so I feel like that has been a very powerful part of my manifestation process. It's like, well, what are the options available to me? I am not going to pay attention to that. I am going to pay attention to this. Or even though, let's say my bank account is very low, I choose not to believe the scarcity story. I'm not doing that today. I'm going to choose this instead. And yes, like, we can feel all of the stuff churning in our body, and that may be the stuff that needs to be processed, but we can still choose to align even as that energy is moving through us. We can still focus on where the abundance is in your life, to feel grateful for what we do have, and to just like, I don't know, that has been very powerful for me, is that deciding, and deciding, I'm going to go for this, I want this, or I believe this, even though there are parts of me that are not 100% on board, but I'm still deciding for my whole system.
Yeah.
And I'm curious as to, like, because this is, I feel like this is where a lot of people get stuck. For you, where do you feel like that decision making power comes from? Where does that come from in the body? Just to get like nerdy and technical for a second.
Nerdy and technical. I think it comes from the womb space. I think it comes from the belly. I think it comes from the heart. I think it literally, it lives, it resides in the torso. And I think that I just want to circle back to some of the things that you shared, that we've been conditioned to, like, we make choices every single moment of every single day, right? From the minute we get up in the morning to the minute we go to bed. And we've also been conditioned to have this, like, it's and or. We can't have both. It's like we have to choose this or we have to choose that. And what you're sharing is that, like, this shit is going on, like shitstorms going on over here, and I can hold what's coming up for me, and I'm choosing to focus on this. And I think that what you said as well is that attention, right? The attention is the key thing. Most people think that, oh, if I keep focusing on this one thing, it's going to change. And that's not the case. Like, yes, have an awareness of the thing, but where your attention goes is where the energy will flow. Mm-hmm. And the power of potent decision making, I feel like, yes, it's in the torso, but it's almost like every single part of you has to be on board with it. The thing that I do when I've made a decision, and this is, I get quite animated, is that I literally feel like I've got a big stick in my hand and I'll bash it on the ground and I'll stamp my foot and I'm like, I'm not doing this. It's not, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm like, I'm done. Or just like this, it's almost like this real, I'd say that's probably really infused with anger and frustration.
Yes.
It's an energy, right?
Yes.
That's what it is. It's the life force energy going, I'm fucking done with this. And that's it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't have to sound so aggressive or threatening. And sometimes it's just like, no, I'm done now.
Yeah.
It's done.
Right. Exactly. And I think for some people, it's necessary to get into a more aggressive state, just thinking about the nervous system, because they are in a hypoarousal type state where they need to activate that power, that raw kind of like animal primal energy that is part of your life force, that has been part of the conditioning, and sort of tamping that down to get kind of like, yes, damn it, I want this. This is mine. I get to have it, and really claim it for themselves.
Yeah. And I know I can speak for myself, I'm going to speak for quite a number of other people, where the most potent manifestations have come into fruition very, very quickly when they've really connected with that primal essence of themselves. And that's the human, right? That's the part of us that makes us human. So it's that acceptance of all of who we are and all of that we desire. It's almost like, no, I know that I'm worthy of everything and I'm just claiming it. That's what it feels like to me. And it can happen really, really quickly.
Absolutely. What has been sort of your quickest manifestation? What has been, whether it's a client story that you feel comfortable sharing or your experience?
I've manifested, I've manifested thousands of euros. They've just landed in my bank and I haven't actually done anything. I've literally just gone, right, I just want the money to arrive today. And it's just landed miraculously out of nowhere. I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? So I've gone from that. I've manifested the house that I'm living in. I moved from England to Ireland nearly 3 years ago. I had nowhere to live. I literally packed up everything. I booked the boat. Just myself and my daughter. We were going to leave within a few weeks. I had been on the phone, emailing people, trying to find a house in Ireland. And with 2 dogs is like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And I was like, no, I'm doing this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this. And it was very, very last minute. The house came through after and now we live in this beautiful house by the sea. Like, it's better than I could have ever imagined. That's another thing. I've manifested releasing drug addiction, like literally decided one day that I was no longer available for that. After I didn't do anything. I did no interventions. I did no recovery centers. I did nothing. I just decided that was it. I was done. The same thing I did with the cigarettes. The same thing. I was like, I'm done with this today. after years. And like, it's just some of the things.
Yeah. 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 I've
This is how
actually read your
powerful
post.
this
Yeah.
is
I
how
read the
powerful we
recent post
are.
about the cigarette smoking, and that you were smoking at what, 13 or something?
12, yeah,
12, and that you made a decision one day and you stopped.
that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
So
same with, I mean, I don't really talk about the addiction with substances and drugs and stuff like that, but that was a manifestation for me. It was a decision. Well, it was a decision, so I manifested it as well through the decision energy.
yeah.
But I had tried for years and years I tried all of the AAs, all of the interventions, and I hadn't decided that that's what I was going to do. I hadn't decided that it was going to work for me. I hadn't decided, like, part of me was on board, but not all of me.
Yeah.
And then one day I decided, no, enough is enough. I'm done now. And that was it. And I spent years and years addicted to cocaine. Like, it was just ridiculous. I would have died, honestly, quite honestly. So it was just a decision. It was like, I'm done now.
Yeah.
That relationship is over. And then I never looked back.
Yeah.
That was 7 years ago.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful.
And so when I speak into that as well, it's like, I could sit here and say I'm an addict in recovery. No, I've already decided I'm a recovered addict. There's no fear of ever picking up again.
Yes. Yes. There we go. Okay. So
That's
here
it.
you're speaking to like the language, right? The
Yeah.
specific language, the words that we choose to identify ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. The identity is very important, because when you make a decision that you are no longer doing something, being broke, being whatever, there are parts of you that have to die. There are parts of you that have to sort of naturally fall away. When you decide, and you decide with your full body, the parts of your body that are like, I'm not so sure, they're just going to go like, they fall apart. Right. And so you experience some release, some grief, perhaps, right? Some emotions that come through. Yeah, that's an important part to acknowledge, that when we make these very empowered decisions, there is a process. There is shit that goes down in the body.
There is 100%. And smoking for me was one of the biggest decisions. You know, it's the most intimate relationship that I had ever had with the masculine energy.
Yeah.
And it was a chosen relationship. And then to decide that we were done, there was a whole grieving process.
Yeah.
It's still a manifestation to actually decide not to do that and then manifest a life without cigarettes, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the whole grieving process. And it's also another decision to actually face and embrace the parts of me that I have been avoiding for 34 years.
Yeah.
So again, another kind of manifestation and decision there. The same thing with money. When we have all of this money that just shows up in our bank accounts, okay, there's going to be an emotional response. The body is going to react in a certain way. What do I do with this? How do I hold it? Do I piss it down the drain? Like, do I try and get rid of it? What's going on in the body? How am I experiencing receiving this thing out of the blue? Right. And I've identified that when I have money, I'm worthy. When I have money, I'm brilliant at what I do. When I have money, I'm X, Y, Z. And when I don't have it, then I'm
right. They're not those things. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so when it shows up out of the blue, it's just like, oh, is this real? What have I done to deserve this? How did that happen? No, I can't possibly accept this. I'm going to push it away. I'm going to send it. And I think that's the thing with the relationship with money, is that fucking commanding money into your reality is really, really easy. Holding it is the hardest thing. Holding it, allowing yourself to hold it, to see it, to speak to it, to respect it, to feel comfortable in its presence.
Yes.
That's the thing. But it's the same with love, right?
Yes. Yes. And I was going to say attention, right? So many of us didn't get the attention that we needed from our parents, for example. And I've noticed in myself and in some of the people that I've worked with, when I receive attention, there's a part of me that's like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know what to do with this. It's going to leave in a minute. It's going to leave in a moment. I'm going to
push it away.
Exactly. I want to leave. I want to just kind of like, I would do things, I would say inappropriate things, let's say with actually in relationships, that would make people go away.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't hold the attention.
Mm.
And it's because it was so uncomfortable for people to like actually give their attention to me.
Yeah.
Right. And that has been like the leadership work ties into the money
Yes.
stuff, right? Being able to like command attention, command money, right? It's all one thing.
Yeah. It's visibility, isn't it? It's
Yes.
being seen.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes,
Yeah.
that is it.
And that comes back to the intimacy as well,
Right.
you know.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. Beautiful. Oh my God, Sinead, amazing. How
I
can
think we just
people?
went on a bit of a journey there.
Yeah, we did. I love it. Just a winding journey, and also like, hitting some really important points, right? Of like the decision making and the numbers being socially engineered, and how we, how we orient our identities and our worth to that. Yeah, all this amazing stuff. How can people get in touch with you? How can people work with you? Where can they find you?
They can find me plastered all over Facebook. My legs spread wide. No. No. Facebook, Instagram, my website, sineadcracknell.com. Just find me. I think I'm probably the only Sinead Cracknell in the entire world. I don't know that for fact, but I've not found another one yet.
Awesome. Awesome. This was such a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.